The studio fell dead silent. The audience held its collective breath as Colbert's expression shifted from smug satisfaction to something darker, more dangerous. He'd been called many things in his career, but never a parasite. Not on live television, not by someone of Musk's stature. The insult hung in the air like smoke from a gunshot, and everyone in the studio knew they were witnessing something unprecedented. A parasite? Colbert repeated slowly, his voice dropping to barely above a whisper. That's interesting coming from someone who's parasitically attached to government subsidies. Tesla wouldn't exist without taxpayer money propping up your green energy fantasy, would it, Elon? Musk's eyes narrowed to slits. His right hand began tapping rhythmically against his leg, a nervous tick those close to him recognized as a warning sign. Those aren't subsidies, they're investments in America's future. Every dollar of government support has been paid back, with interest through job creation, technological advancement, and reduced emissions. Unlike your show, which contributes nothing but cynicism to society. The comeback struck home. Colbert's laugh was forced, hollow. Nothing but cynicism? I inform the American people about the truth behind your carefully crafted public image. Like how you promised full self-driving cars by now, but people are still dying in your vehicles because the technology isn't ready. How many more beta testers have to die before you admit your autopilot is actually autopilot error? The accusation about deaths caused by Tesla's autonomous driving features was the nuclear option, and Colbert had just pressed the button. Musk's face went ashen, then flushed deep red. His hands were shaking now, barely controlled fury radiating from every fiber of his being. You have no idea what you're talking about, Musk spit, leaning forward in his chair. Our safety statistics, our public record. Tesla vehicles are statistically safer than human drivers. But you don't care about facts, do you, Stephen? You care about cheap shots and easy laughs at the expense of people actually trying to solve real problems. Colbert sensed his guest was near the breaking point and decided to twist the knife deeper. Solve real problems? Like when you called that cave diver a pedophile because he criticized your submarine publicity stunt? Or when you manipulated cryptocurrency markets with your tweets, costing regular investors billions? Face it, Elon. You're not a visionary. You're a narcissist with a trust fund and a Twitter addiction. The personal attack on his character, combined with the reference to his most embarrassing public moments, shattered what remained of Musk's self-control. He shot to his feet so violently that his chair rolled backward into the backdrop, creating a loud crash that made several audience members gasp. "How dare you?" Musk shouted, his voice echoing through the stunned studio. "You sit behind that desk night after night, contributing nothing, creating nothing, building nothing, while taking potshots at people who are actually trying to change the world. You're a failed comedian who found a career in professional jealousy." The audience was completely silent now, some covering their mouths in shock. This wasn't entertainment anymore. It was a complete meltdown happening in real time. Camera operators instinctively zoomed in, capturing every moment of the unprecedented confrontation. Colbert remained seated, but his composure was cracking. A vein pulsed visibly in his temple as he struggled to maintain his television persona while being verbally eviscerated by his guest. Failed comedian? I have Emmy Awards. I have millions of viewers. I have influence that extends far beyond— You have nothing, Musk interrupted, his voice breaking with emotion. Your Emmy Awards are participation trophies for professional sycophants. Your viewers are rubberneckers slowing down to gawk at car crashes you create. And your influence? It's the influence of a poison that spreads cynicism and destroys public discourse. The billionaire was now pacing behind his chair like a caged animal, gesticulating wildly as words poured out of him in a torrent of rage and frustration. Production. Assistants in the wings looked frantically at each other, unsure whether to intervene or let the train wreck continue. Colbert finally stood, his own anger now fully visible despite his attempts to maintain professional composure. You want to talk about destroying public discourse? You bought an entire social media platform just to amplify your own voice and silence your critics. You've turned Twitter into your personal echo chamber while pretending to champion free speech. At least I'm trying to preserve free speech, Musk shot back, his voice cracking. You're just another establishment mouthpiece dressed up as a rebel. You attack anyone who threatens the status quo while pretending to be countercultural. You're everything wrong with modern media wrapped up in a bow tie and fake glasses. The insult about his signature look was the final straw for Colbert. His carefully constructed television persona completely shattered as he stepped around his desk, abandoning any pretense of professional composure. The man who had built his career on satirical characters and comedic timing was now raw, exposed, and furious. "Fake glasses?" Colbert snarled, his voice rising to match Musk's volume. "These glasses help me read the teleprompter that delivers actual scripted content, unlike your stream of consciousness Twitter meltdowns at 3 in the morning. At least when I speak publicly, it's been fact-checked and edited by professionals." Musk laughed bitterly, a harsh sound that echoed through the stunned studio. "Fact-checked? Your entire show is built on selective editing and out-of-context quotes. You take sound bites and twist them to fit whatever narrative gets you the most applause from your trained SEAL audience." The audience members looked around at each other uncomfortably, suddenly aware they were being insulted along with their host. Some began shifting in their seats, a few heading toward the exits. The warm communal atmosphere of a live taping had evaporated, replaced by the uncomfortable tension of witnessing a public breakdown. "Don't you dare blame my audience for your failures," Colbert shot back, pointing an accusatory finger at Musk. "These people are smart enough to see through your techno-billionaire messiah complex. They know the difference between genuine innovation and elaborate marketing schemes disguised as world-saving missions." Musk's eyes blazed with indignation. "Marketing schemes? SpaceX has revolutionized space travel. Tesla has accelerated the world's transition to sustainable transport by decades. While you've been making jokes behind a desk, I've been actually building the future." "Building the future?" Colbert's voice cracked with incredulous laughter. "You've been building your ego. Every venture is just another monument to your narcissism. Mars colonization? That's not about saving humanity. That's about you wanting to be remembered as the man who conquered another planet." The personal nature of the attack struck deep. Musk's face contorted with pain and rage, his hands clenching into fists at his sides. "You have no idea what drives me. I've dedicated my life to advancing human civilization, while you've dedicated yours to tearing down anyone who dares to dream bigger than your small-minded cynicism." Production staff in the wings were frantically signaling to each other, trying to decide whether to cut to commercial or let the unprecedented confrontation continue. The director, frozen behind his monitors, watched the ratings gold disaster unfold while simultaneously calculating the potential lawsuits and network sanctions. Colbert advanced closer to Musk, his usual theatrical movements replaced by genuine aggression. "Dream bigger? You call exploiting workers and manipulating markets dreaming. You call promising technologies that don't exist and timelines you can't meet visionary? You're a con artist with better PR. And you're a bitter failed entertainer who found success by mocking your betters," Musk screamed back, spittle flying from his lips. "You couldn't make it as a real comedian, so you became a professional hater. Your entire career is built on negativity and destruction." The words hit Colbert like physical blows. His comedy career before The Daily Show had indeed struggled, and the accusation of being a failed entertainer touched on his deepest professional insecurities. His face went pale, then flushed crimson with humiliation and rage. "At least I earned my success through talent, not through Daddy's emerald mine money," Colbert bellowed, crossing the final line of personal attack. Everything you've accomplished was built on generational wealth and privilege. You're not a self-made genius. You're a trust fund baby playing with adult toys. The reference to Musk's controversial family background and the Emerald Mine allegations hit like a nuclear bomb. Musk's entire body began trembling with fury, his breathing becoming rapid and shallow. Several audience members near the front could see tears of rage forming in his eyes. "How dare you?" Musk's voice broke completely, becoming almost falsetto. With emotion. "I came to America with nothing. I slept on couches. I worked 18-hour days. I risked everything I had multiple times while you were writing jokes for other people's shows." The billionaire was now pacing erratically, his movements becoming increasingly agitated and unpredictable. Security personnel backstage began moving, closer to the set, unsure of what might happen next but preparing for any possibility. Colbert sensed he had completely broken his guest, but couldn't stop himself from delivering one final blow. "Worked 18-hour days? Is that what you call tweeting conspiracy theories and smoking weed on podcasts? The only thing you've ever risked is other people's money and your employees' safety." Musk stopped pacing abruptly, his face going completely blank for a moment as the words processed. Then something fundamental shifted in his expression. The anger transformed into something colder, more calculating, and infinitely more dangerous. "You know what, Stephen?" Musk said quietly, his voice now eerily calm after the screaming match. "I've just realized something about you." The sudden shift in his tone sent a chill through the studio. Everyone could sense that whatever was coming next would be devastating. Colbert, still riding the adrenaline of his previous attacks, stepped closer with misguided confidence. "Oh, really? What profound insight has the great Elon Musk discovered?" "About little old me?" Musk's eyes were cold now, calculating. When he spoke, his voice was barely above a whisper, forcing everyone in the studio to strain to hear him. "You're not angry because I'm a fraud or a failure. You're angry because deep down, you know I'm everything you could never be." The words hung in the air like a death sentence. Colbert's smirk faltered as the implications sank in. "You see, Musk," continued, his voice gaining strength, "I looked you up before coming here tonight. Catholic school kid from South Carolina. Youngest of 11 children. Lost your father and 2 brothers in a plane crash when you were 10. I'm sorry for that, truly. But you know what's interesting? You've spent your entire career hiding behind characters. First Stephen Colbert, the fake conservative pundit. Now Stephen Colbert, the late-night host. You've never actually been yourself on television, have you?" Colbert's face went ashen. The deeply personal turn had caught him completely off guard. That's not relevant to—" "It's completely relevant," Musk interrupted, his composure now fully restored while Colbert's crumbled. "You create these personas because the real Stephen Colbert is too afraid to face the world. You mock people who take risks because you've never risked anything yourself. You attack dreamers because dreaming requires courage you don't possess." The audience was transfixed, watching their beloved host being systematically dismantled by the man they'd been, laughing at moments before. The power dynamic had completely reversed. "Meanwhile," Musk continued, his voice growing stronger, "while you've been playing pretend behind a desk, I've actually been changing the world. Electric vehicles were a joke until Tesla. Private space travel was science fiction until SpaceX. You can mock my methods, question my motives, but you cannot deny the results." Colbert tried to interject, but his voice came out as a weak croak. My show informs people. Your show divides people," Musk corrected sharply. "You take complex issues and reduce them to punchlines. You make your audience feel superior for laughing at people who are actually trying to solve problems. You're not a comedian, Stephen. You're a drug dealer, and cynicism is your product." The brutal honesty of the assessment left Colbert speechless. He stood there, mouth opening and closing like a fish out of water, completely unable to respond. to the systematic deconstruction of his life's work. Musk took a step closer, his voice dropping to barely audible. The saddest part is that you probably had real potential once. You're clearly intelligent, articulate, charismatic. You could have built something meaningful instead of this. He gestured dismissively at the studio set. This monument to intellectual cowardice. The final insult broke something fundamental in Colbert. All the fight went out of him as he stumbled backward, collapsing into his desk chair like a deflated balloon. The man who had been so aggressive moments before now looked small, defeated, and utterly humiliated. Musk straightened his jacket and looked directly into the main camera. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what happens when professional cynics meet. Actual accountability. Your host invited me here to tear me down for your entertainment, but instead, you've witnessed the intellectual and moral bankruptcy of modern media. He turned back to Colbert, who was staring at his hands, unable to meet anyone's eyes. I came here tonight hoping for a real conversation about the future of humanity. Instead, I found a bitter man hiding behind jokes because he's too afraid to engage with serious ideas. That's not entertainment, that's tragedy. The studio was absolutely silent. Even the cameras seemed to stop humming as everyone processed what they'd just witnessed. Musk walked to the edge of the stage, then turned back one final time. Stephen, I genuinely hope you find the courage someday to be yourself instead of hiding behind these characters. The world needs fewer cynics and more dreamers. With that, he walked off the stage, leaving behind a completely shattered host and a studio full of stunned spectators. The cameras continued rolling as Colbert sat, motionless at his desk, the weight of the confrontation settling over him like a heavy blanket. Production assistants eventually approached, whispering urgently about cutting to commercial, but the damage was done. Within hours, clips of the confrontation went viral across social media platforms. The hashtag Colbert Meltdown trended worldwide, as millions watched the usually composed host completely lose control. Late-night comedy shows became the subject of late-night comedy, as Colbert's colleagues struggled to defend his behavior, while secretly grateful it wasn't them in that chair. The ratings for the episode shattered records, but they came at a devastating cost. Advertisers began pulling out within days, citing concerns about the show's new toxic atmosphere. Network executives held emergency meetings as viewer complaints poured in about Colbert's unprofessional conduct and personal attacks on a guest. Most damaging of all was the way the confrontation highlighted everything wrong with modern celebrity culture and media discourse. Instead of substantive discussion about technology, innovation, or the future, audiences had witnessed two powerful men reducing themselves to schoolyard bullying and personal attacks. The incident became a watershed moment, sparking serious conversations about respect, professionalism, and the responsibility that comes with large platforms and public influence.